Today's Spotlight is brought to you in part by presenting sponsor, First Community Financial Bank, the community bank where you come first. Welcome back to Spotlight. I'm your host, Jane Wernette, and joining me now are Tim Ryan, who is the founder and executive director of A Man in Recovery Foundation, and Kyle Samara. He's their outreach coordinator. So thank you for joining me on the set today, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
We're going to start out with you, Tim, and we're going to talk a little bit, if you would, about what prompted you to start this foundation.
I started a Man in Recovery Foundation because I struggled with alcoholism and drug addiction for 28 years. Unfortunately, I had to get sober in the Illinois Department of Corrections, and it gave me time to think, to ponder on what needs to be changed and how I can walk out and help people. And that's how it all started.
And what was, if you think about the problems that we have with addiction, what are the big misnomers?
Not my child. We live in a good community. We're a good Christian family. Addiction has no barriers or boundaries. Doesn't matter race, creed, color, height, weight, financial income. Kids make a bad choice. Adults make a bad choice. And unfortunately, I'm lead a monster.
Kyle, how did your addiction begin?
Started at a young age, smoking weed at 13 and quickly through the experimenting process, 14 doing opiates, and thought I was doing one drug, turned out to be heroin. So 15 to 18, I was a full-blown heroin addict.
And how do you feel, how did you get into that? Why did you go there?
I was depressed, I was lonely, I was scared of, maturing, going older and being myself, being independent. So I looked in for other, what's it called really? Coping mechanism, I guess.
Escapes.
Yeah.
An escape.
Okay. Did your parents know?
No. They actually had no clue I was doing heroin until about 2 months after I was into recovery. I called my mom with Tim and let her know that I was a heroin addict.
So you've been living in your parents' house all that time and they had no idea?
Yep.
That's startling.
Yep.
How could parents know, Tim?
There's a lot of signs parents need to look, like Kyle said, kids isolating, changing of weight habits, changing of friends, their demeanor, their appearance, money disappearing. If you think they're doing opiates, look at their eyes. If their eyes are pinned, chances are they're under the influence of opiates. Parents, my philosophy is be aware. To be aware is to be alive. You need to know what your kids are up to. If there's changes in friends, money disappearing, everything, something's going on. Lack of motivation, lack of sleep.
Interesting. Why is it so addictive? Why is heroin? Because I know we've talked a lot about this in our community. There's a lot of conversation about it. Why is it so addictive?
I've done every drug under the sun. First time I did heroin, I was hooked. It just has a power. I don't glamorize heroin addiction. It unleashed a monster like that, but it took away all my worries. I didn't feel I had a worry. I didn't care about anything. Very quickly, within 3 to 4 days, all I cared about was doing heroin. You live to use, you use to live, but it's probably the most potent and powerful drug on the market today.
Was that your experience, Kyle?
Absolutely. I mean, the pull of it was instantaneous. The second I knew what I was doing, the second I felt the high, that's all I ever wanted. That's all I chased after that.
You have been struggling, obviously, but you have come through part of that struggle. You're not finished with your struggle, but talk a little bit about what it's like to be a young person in recovery.
It's truly a blessing being where I am at right now because at a young age, I really had to change every single aspect of my life and really relearn everything I thought I once knew and reapply it in different ways in certain measures to really make sure I'm instilling a balanced and just a healthy life in general in order to, keep myself healthy for a successful life, really. I mean, being young and in recovery is a 100% doable process. I mean, being old and being in recovery is a 100% doable process. It doesn't matter what age you are, it matters how determined you are to really become on the other side of your disease, really.
And I think that's an important point that you made. You talk about it as a disease, and I know, Tim, you talk a lot about that.
Yeah, but that's something I fought for years. I thought it had to do with willpower, maybe I could just drink and maybe I'll drink less. But once I grasped that, I understood it. And, I didn't get sober till I was 44 years old in prison. Kyle got sober at 18, and what people need to understand, he's 19, I'm 47. Kid's one of my best friends. Why? Because we're bound by this thing called recovery and the disease of addiction, and we have a common bond. But it's all about choices. You choose to get in and live a life for recovery, or you choose to go out and use again. Unfortunately, when you're using heroin, you got 3 choices. You get into recovery, you die, or you end up in the prison system. That's it.
Only one good choice.
Get into recovery.
Yes. Talk about how you guys met.
Well, I met Tim during my 6th time in treatment. One of the counselors recommended me going to Tim's group. I said, why not? I actually drove there about 30 minutes prior to it starting. I smoked a whole pack of cigarettes in my car. I was super nervous and anxious because I didn't think this would be any different, and just a whole slew of thoughts racing through my mind. And when I went inside, it was like every answer I was looking for, every question I had was answered within, an hour, and it truly gave me a better understanding of what to truly grasp in recovery and how to better myself. So, that was about 10 months ago. So here we are
Here
today.
you are.
Here we are today.
Here you are.
Yeah.
What do you think, Tim, makes Man in Recovery different?
First and foremost, we're 100% volunteer driven. What we do, whether I do speaking engagements with Kyle, all our money goes into our foundation to give away, to guide and direct people into treatment, but we're the ones going into the houses, working with the hopeless, getting them into treatment, whatever that might look like, but then we're working with people once they get out of treatment. We run support groups for the families and the person struggling. We get them into sober homes. We start getting them plugged into recovery and letting them know they can have a great life clean and sober, whether you're 15 or you're 80. That's what it's all about.
What's the best part of sobriety for you?
Best part about sobriety for me would actually, be having a life. Not waking up sick, not waking up how to, scheme some money together, or how to lie my way out of this situation, or how to steal this out of my parents' house without them finding out, a week from then. Just being able to wake up healthy and in the right state of mind, and being able to truly pursue whatever it is that I want to do with my life. Being young and having goals and ambitions, and actually having a drive for life, to put myself out there for the world, for myself. To better myself and to actually have a relationship with my family is
the gift.
Absolutely.
It's a blessing. As your bracelet said, it's a blessing.
Absolutely.
What would you tell parents that are out there as our viewer? What would you tell them? What would be your thoughts?
I would say instill boundaries, instill rules, get into their face, know what they're doing behind the room doors once they close it, know who their friends are, know who they're getting influenced by, and stop being a friend to your kid. Be a parent. Be the guardian, be the provider, be the person you once wanted to see in yourself when you were young. Stop being someone that's enabling, stop catering to all their needs, and step up. Truly tell them what they need to hear, and stop beating around the bush and, I don't know if they'll like me after this, or this fight will happen. Be a parent.
Well said.
Thank you.
Well said. To learn more about how you can help support a Man in Recovery Foundation and to help addicts move from dope to hope, please visit their website. We're going to take a quick break, but stay tuned. We're coming right back.